Hey, what's up guys, it's Marv and welcome back to another Asphalt Legends Unite video. Now before I get into the multiplayer, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who watched the Asphalt Snapdragon Pro Series finals for Gamescom Cologne over the weekend. I had a fantastic time and a big thank you to ESL for having me over in their studio in Katowice. It was my first time in Poland and I had a fantastic time. I definitely encourage you to follow me on Instagram if you want to see some behind the scenes and some cool photos of that. I'll have that linked in the description down below. Alright, so the video is going to be titled GameLoft Kind of Fixed Multiplayer because for this time around, at least in this season, we don't have knockdowns enabled. It is only collisions, and right off the bat, at least in terms of climbing up the ranks in Platinum League, that made a huge difference up until I started getting to Platinum 1, where I was trying to play with the Zenvo and the Fener Supersport. I started to realize that I was losing a lot of races, and instead of immediately blaming the game because I realized there was no knockdowns, yes, I was getting blocked on tracks, which was a huge problem, but that's just the track design in this game, albeit however bad it is. I was trying to figure out what went wrong. I'm using very high-end S-Class cars with very good top speeds. Why am I losing? So I decided to check who are the cars in front of me, and okay, yep, it's Vandas, Huracans, couple of Huayra BCs sprinkled in here and there, but it was mainly the Vandas, and you can see them sometimes all in a line in touch drive just winning everything. And so I decided, you know what, I'll give the Vanda a shot. I have it, I might as well use it, and I won pretty much every single game I played with it, or at least I gained a bunch of rating. And it was weird because sometimes I would place in around 3rd, 2nd, or 4th with the Vanda, and I still got elo from it, but when I did that with the high-end S-Class cars, I lost points. So maybe there's a setting in the algorithm of whoever determines the elo system where using those high-end S-Class cars actually gives you a lower chance of gaining elo. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just a bit of placebo for me. I'm not sure. But anyway, I was using the Vanda, I was using the Huracan, and I very much easily shot right up to Legend League. And yeah, that started to get me realizing that maybe the car filters should be tweaked a little bit. Again, I really love the idea. I haven't played with the Fener in such a long time because in the old system, if I were to get to Legend League, I would just use the Agera RS, the Tuatara, the Chiron, the Jesko. I wouldn't really touch the Zenvo. I wouldn't really touch the Fener. But now, of course, I am because I can use those in Platinum League. And of course, I'm using a bunch of other cars as well, like I mentioned in previous videos. But I came back to the Vanda and it just surprised me yet again with how amazing it is. Now, I did have some conversations with some of the other Asphalt Legends Unite creators, and yes, to some extent they do agree with me that the Vanda is a little overpowered. It's not the be-all, end-all. You can definitely get to Legend League otherwise. I mean, in the previous season, I didn't use the Vanda, and I still got to Legend League pretty easily just by playing. But of course, using the Vanda and the Huracan definitely helps. And I think the main problem isn't the fact that these cars are overpowered by themselves. It's just because the vast majority of races you'll experience in multiplayer focus on those handling oriented tracks like Osaka, Caribbean, and especially the Auckland track. That is a notoriously really good track for the Vanda. And because you don't really have a great selection of the track you play, I mean, you don't have any choice at all, you might as well play with the most versatile car. And hands down, those are the Huracans of the world, the Vandas of the world, and that sort of thing. It really sucks that we don't have dedicated multiplayer scenarios for top speed focused things and handling focused things, because in previous Asphalt games, really the determining factor was just the top speed, because most of the cars handled pretty much the same, or at least the tracks were designed around the handling of the cars where you didn't have crazy sharp corners. Of course, you had them here or there, but pretty much all of the cars, especially as you started to get in the higher end of the game, they could handle themselves, well, literally and figuratively, around pretty much any corner you threw it at. Whereas in Asphalt 9, that isn't the case. And I think that definitely gives the gameplay a deeper mechanical skill level. You actually have to now handle your vehicles really well because the tracks aren't just designed to cater to vehicles that can handle on the turn of a dime. Whereas in Asphalt Legends Unite, all of the cars sometimes feel like boats. That's going to be confusing. I think I said Asphalt 9 there, but I meant Asphalt Legends Unite. I wonder how many times that's going to happen until I finally phase out the word Asphalt 9 from my brain. Anyway, all of that is to say that, again, the Vanda and the Huracan, those types of cars aren't overpowered by themselves, because if all you played was Himalayas, you wouldn't really see those cars. You'd see the Fenner, you'd see the Zenvo, but because the vast majority of tracks, I would say now, are handling and acceleration focused tracks, you're just going to see those cars all of the time. And of course in multiplayer, because acceleration is such a big advantage, due to only having to race in one lap, you'll see those cars as well. So I don't want to get away from the fact that I do think this is a massive improvement over the previous seasons. Now, I think since they've changed it from last time, this is going to be a rotating thing. I don't think they're permanently going to remove knockdowns. That would also be a little weird. I do want to see knockdowns in some sort of multiplayer system because, yeah, it is part of the Asphalt experience. I just don't want to see it all of the time in the main multiplayer system. In something like MP2, knockdowns are fine. We've already had rotating slipstream and ghost slipstream in that MP2 season, which I really have enjoyed. Okay, so you might be wondering, well, in a lot of your videos where you talk about multiplayer, you try your best to offer solutions and different fixes to improve it. And last time it was get rid of knockdowns, and they have. So why are you complaining, and do you have any suggestions? And frankly, I wouldn't call this a complaint, more of just an observation like, wow, yeah, if you remove knockdowns and if you just determine the race solely down to the track selection and the car, you can very obviously see which cars are better than others. Unfortunately, I don't really have any suggestions other than, like, I don't know, making one season top speed focus where you have a selection of things like Apollo Ns in B class, you know, the F1 LMs, and then in A class you have the Imola, those types of cars, the Citroen GT, and then in S class, well, you can just pretty much have most of those cars because they have very high top speeds. And then you have tracks like Himalayas and Norway, and then you switch it out for another season where you have Vandas and Huracans and Huayra BCs and Sennas, where you have tracks like Osaka and Auckland. Realistically, I don't know if that's a really good idea, because at that point you are vastly restricting the player choice in terms of car selection, and you're just going to be playing a very small section of tracks over and over again, although this time it feels like I'm playing Osaka like 80% of the time. Now, something that I do want to point out is that once I did hit Legend League, I didn't really see that many Vandas. As Jägermeister actually recently pointed out to me, that's not really the car that you should be going to if you want to climb the leaderboard well above Legend League and try to compete with the pros. And yes, that makes perfect sense. The peak skill level does come with those very high-end S-Class cars. I mean, it does make sense that a Jesko will beat the Vanda on most tracks, but I'm talking mainly about the gap between Platinum and Legend League. Again, once I hit Legend League and I was playing with my Jesko and the Bugatti Chiron, those were the types of cars that I was mostly facing. Yes, there was a Vanda here and there, but they usually didn't do so hot. So I definitely want to hear what you guys have to think about the current multiplayer series in the comment section down below. Firstly, I definitely think it's an improvement over no knockdowns. Yes, I'm getting blocked all the time and there's nothing I can do about it because there aren't any knockdowns and the tracks are just so darn thin and narrow. But I do think it's an improvement because I know if I lose a race and I didn't collide with anyone, that's purely either the car that I used or my skill. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you have any suggestions where they could further improve multiplayer? I do think it's in a good state. I think they just need to narrow down the car selection and maybe tune the tracks that are offered in multiplayer. I would like to see a more variety for sure. Anyway guys, I will catch you all in the next one.